The Nigerian Union of Journalists, NUJ, at 70, presents an important milestone in the history of journalism and media in Nigeria. Established in 1955, the NUJ has grown from its humble beginning into one of the most influential trade unions in the country, representing journalists across platforms from print to broadcast and most recently, online media. 70 years of existence sure calls for reflection, even as it highlights the crucial role the NUJ plays in shaping the media landscape. We'll take a moment today to relish the role the NUJ has played in nation building, as well as highlights its challenges and other important issues. Thanks for joining us on Nigeria Today. I am Eucharia Clinton. With me in the studio for this conversation is Eman Usman Shehu. He's a director, International Institute of Journalism. It's a pleasure to have you.
My pleasure, Eucharia.
Also with us for the conversation is Ben Shemang. He's a former director, News, Voice of Nigeria. It's a pleasure to have you on Nigeria Today.
Thank you for having me today.
I'll start with you, Ben. You know, NUJ is 70 years. So tell us, how would you describe, let's say, the journey so far?
I think the journey has not been too smooth, but all the same, it is reaching a destination. Because when you look at it, journalism, of course, you can't have the union without the journalism itself. So in terms of creating a path for development, look at the fight against, the colonialists. It was purely done by journalists. In some other places where you had settler colonialism, they had to use the guns, they had to fight, they went into guerrilla warfare in order to have independence. But with us, you could see that we had forefathers who were in the forefront in ensuring that colonial masters were gone, independence we had, and therefore it was for the Nigerian to take the destiny of the country into our own hands. And that's why, okay, right from the beginning, you had a white man who brought in, that's Henry Townsend, who had this Iwe and felt that journalism was on. But from there, you could see the father of journalism, Ernest Okoli, being the first editor of Daily Times, kind of creating a path and a niche for Nigerian journalists. And you could see that at the point they just felt there has to be a kind of a union to ensure that professionalism, the ethics of the profession, they all are upheld. And that's why you could find people like Babatunde Jose, you could find Latif Jakande, you could find Awolowo, you find Zik, the greatest West African pilot. And there was no politician who didn't feel that there has to be journalism by the side. So Zik had his own newspaper set up. Today you are seeing President Tinubu, he has a TV station, he has a newspaper kind of a thing. Then you look at, Awolowo, his Tribune up to today is still working. So you had all the Abubakar Rimis, Balarabe Musa, they all were
recognizing the importance of this profession.
You know, all of this to ensure that this profession is upheld to the way, to the basic tenets that of informing, entertaining, educating the people, and it kind of bringing some awareness in terms of government, what government is doing, holding them to account. And good thing, if you check chapter 4 of the Nigerian Constitution, where it has enshrined all sorts of rights, and in the end to support journalism, support unionism. You could see that the Freedom of Information Act is here to give credence to what the journalists can do, what the union can do.
Thank you very much for that rundown. Now, talk to us, Eman. Could you, briefly explain to us the inspiration behind the formation of these NUJ, like he rightly said, he talked about upholding the ethics of the profession, looking at today what the profession is. When you look at the inspiration that led to the formation, what would you say?
Part of what I'm going to say would be a reflection of what he has said. The circumstance under which journalism arrived in Nigeria or emerged in Nigeria. After Iwe Irohin, which basically was more of an evangelical publication, others who followed realized there was a need for the populace to have a say in terms of how they are governed. And out of that atmosphere, of course, the people who were in charge were not too happy. So there was a conflict between the rulers and the followers. And that is very significant in how Nigerian journalism emerged, because Nigerian journalism emerged in an adversarial context. And of course, once there is an adversarial tone to it, it means that there will be threats, and therefore the practitioners would have to find a way of protecting themselves, where unionization comes in. And in unionization, therefore, you must have goals and objectives. But essentially, number one thing, there cannot be democracy without journalism, which is the key thing of having the Nigerian Union of Journalists, which is to ensure that the practitioners, as the fourth estate of the realm, are aware of their responsibility to be the ones who check the excesses of the first realm, the second realm, and the third realm on behalf of the populace. Otherwise, there will be a problem. So this has been basically the reason for the existence of the union, to play, first of all, its fundamental role. I mean, it's about the only union in Nigeria and in most parts of the world that is legislatively enshrined for it to function, okay, in terms of journalism as the fourth estate of run. So the union has been playing a critical role in ensuring that with the various kinds of regimes that we have had in the country, military, civilian, and the attitude of leaders not wanting to be held accountable, which has created a lot of friction at various times. The union has played a great role in ensuring that they've not been cowed, and people have, practitioners have ensured that regardless of what the frustrations are, whether under military or under civilian, that they remain focused as the fourth estate of the realm.
Now, back to you, Ben. Of course, like Emma rightly mentioned, the union has, of course, been playing its role as the fourth estate of the realm. But now we have, we're in the era of technology. Almost everybody is becoming a journalist online. Anybody that comes and types something, is a journalist, is giving us information, whether it is right or wrong. So how would you describe, this current trend, comparing it with what used to be and now? Would you say that, would you say there's really sanity in this profession?
Yeah, you see, what has come to be known as citizen journalism, you have a smartphone and you can just snap anything and release onto the air. We want to say and insist that it's not every white tablet that is Panadol, So it's not everyone who dangles a camera that is a journalist. And that is why the real journalists must have some training. The real journalist must go into some ethics, and the union has some ethics where professional ethics must be followed, whether you want to cover security, you want to cover elections, you want to cover issues dealing with women and children. There has to be some limitations. But situations where a child is a victim of rape, you are paying attention to the child and not the rapist, then you see that that person's professionalism, prowess is called to question. Therefore, in terms of the social media, like you're talking about technology now, yes, we have to move with the times. And moving with the times, of course, you have to also move with technology. You can see that the way the shortwave radio, for example, was being handled is actually going down, because there's what we call listener kind of dwindling listenership. Those involved in shortwave listening, they must be serious-minded people. They tend to be elderly and all that stuff. Today, people are talking of some FM frequency modulation, and they just moving that way. You can wake up today and just say, oh, I have this online, and I'm the editor-in-chief. It takes a long journey for one to be called editor-in-chief. Imagine you entering Daily Times. Imagine you entering a Trust newspaper. Imagine you entering NTA. You wake up, you say you are the executive director of news. No, there has to be some procedures for you to reach that. But unfortunately, today, I am sad to announce or say that the Voice of America, with an executive fiat today, has ceased to exist, because President Donald Trump saying they are too radical and not pro. You know, that kind of a thing. I think that we should allow criticism, in as much as it's not that kind of pull him down syndrome. We should not overreact, because we are in government. And that's why today, when we look at them with the second amendment, they say everything is free, the libertarian theory of mass communication. Now the president has made rubbish of that. And I tell you, today, the union, NUJ, is better off. We are on. And there are times that, look, the union will look at what, guided by social responsibility theory. This story I'm about unleashing to the public, is it going to cause mayhem or bring unity? And so the union, even when we're talking about the technology, you realize that there's always that caution. Tread softly. Are we going to soft sell yellow journalism? Are we just going to go into fake news that will disinform, misinform, and cause disaffection between people, between tribes, between religions? Will you want to pull down a government because you can say something and just simply pass it on? So that's where the union, via also technology, comes in. We marry the old order with new knowledge and make it better for Nigeria.
Thank you.
Let me just add there.
Okay.
That, personally, I don't believe there's anything like citizen journalism. I think it's one of the misnomers that has emerged with digitalization. Is there something like a citizen lawyer or a citizen doctor? Journalism is a profession, and like every other profession, it has its ethics. And the rules of journalism are cast in stone. It doesn't matter what technology comes, those rules don't change. Okay. So because you have a device, you can go to Banex Junction, take a picture of an accident and publish it, and it goes viral. It doesn't make you a journalist. That is the truth of the matter. The liberalism of journalism as a profession has unfortunately been misunderstood, misapplied, and people think that once you're a content creator, therefore you are a journalist. No, journalism is not just about content creation. And that is part of where the union comes in, to ensure that there is professionalism in the practice of journalism.
Okay, why you're still saying that, the union is marking the 70th anniversary this year. Now, how would you describe the role of the union in advocating for the rights of journalists in Nigeria?
Yeah, the union has a lot more to do. Number one, yes, it has ensured that where journalists are victimized, where journalists are maltreated, especially by people in positions of authority, the union has been able to step in and fight on their behalf. But I think the union also has a lot more to do in terms of welfare. There's no doubt about that. The union has a lot to do to ensure that journalists are properly taken care of, because if you follow the trend or the history of journalism in Nigeria, journalists are not having it easy with the media owners. A lot of the media owners think they are doing a service, to practicing people who practice journalism, and so they don't pay them enough.
They're doing them a favor, actually.
Yeah. So they think, if you cannot do it, just go away. We can get other people to take your place. After all, there are enough people. So the union has a lot of work to do there to ensure that the welfare of journalists is a priority.
Okay, now back to you, Ben. We talk about press freedom. What has been the role of the NUJ in advocating for press freedom?
Yeah, you see, it has to go back to the Nigerian constitution itself. That has, it's very, very flamboyant in its giving us that right to exercise that freedom, to report, to dig seriously and bring out what can make society better. But it is also different from blackmail, a kind of, where you identify some people who have some skeletons, or you begin to, terrorize. Let me call it terrorism in journalism, where you begin to malign in order to get whatever you want. It's wrong. But in terms of the real freedom itself, not just the Constitution, there is again the Freedom of Information Act that allows you to question, like you now, you have that power via that act to go to your local government chairman. What has been since Tinubu said there has to be this direct funding of local governments. Have you received yours? If yours, how many months? So how did you disburse them? What was the method of disbursement and all that? So you question and question. So you have that freedom. But it does not mean that we should abuse that freedom to the extent that you feel, no, I can pull down the whole institution, I can pull down a government, I can pull down a religious institution. But we have to have others. We have my right ends, yours should start. We are in this studio, I have the right to fling my hand, but I must not fling it to touch your face. So in terms of this freedom to express, freedom to write, it does not mean that the law also protects those you want to expose. They do have some rights. Someone is sick and you want to dig and just go, bring out what has not been permitted. And that's why if you go to hospital, I want to know about this person's sickness. If the wife or son or daughter does not give permission, or he gives the doctor to talk, anything you are doing, well, you say you're doing the journalism. But sometimes people will frown at it seriously. Also, in terms of freedom, we do have it seriously. Now we have a Trump waking up to say, Voice of America, from today I shut you down. It looks so strange, unheard of, really.
For a country like America.
Yes, for a country like America. Today, when you have this Second Amendment, no. When you say, look, report whatever you are reporting without hindrance. Those listening, those viewing are matured enough. They can always cipher from good and bad and believe whatever they want to. But we are saying in our own case, developmental journalism. We are saying in our own case, there has to be some social responsibilities. Do they believe you as a reporter? Do they believe you and the medium you represent as a person when you move? Do they say that press boy? But we are worried too. Even when we do all this reporting jobs, you see that we are not living in the cities. You begin to move out from Abuja, having covered the State House or National Assembly, where they are talking of billions and billions of money. You report that at the end of the day. Where are you going to? get one vehicle, go to Nyanya, complete with the Okada. At the end, you cross one gutter, then you get your single room. And, you know, so there has to be also some concomitant, let me call it, way of a better life for the journalists. Some media organizations do not allow unionism. They say, at your own peril. Join a union and you end your job. I give you your ID card, that's your meal ticket. However you work and get your stories, it does not matter, you know.
Okay, but back to you, a man, a 70-year-old man.
Yeah.
It's not a baby.
Certainly.
Of course,
Certainly.
the union has, you know, has come of age. Now, you earlier on, you talked about, you know, the union having more to do. Now, what are some of the challenges that you think that the union should wake up to rise up to, if this profession, you know, will be practiced the way it should be practiced?
Number one is to ensure that we don't have, to change the mentality. I still keep emphasizing citizen journalism because it has become the easiest way for quackery in the profession. So number one thing, the union has to ensure that people who are journalists are certificated. They know the profession. They are not just there because, oh, this is the easiest way out, or media houses just say, oh, come, join me, you can write, whatever.
You can speak English,
you can speak English, you can write very well, you
yes.
know, or take good pictures. I can just see, no. It's a profession, and the union has to ensure that there is professionalism in journalism, especially in Nigeria. A lot of quacks hanging around. It doesn't speak well of the profession. And number two, of course, it's welfare, whether we like it or not. We'll keep emphasizing that publishers just can't wake up overnight and just treat their staff with a lot of ignominy and think they are doing them a favor, you know. So the union has to think out of the box, find a way of ensuring that in some countries you can't set up a media organization without meeting certain standards of remuneration for the staff. In fact, you can't even operate without meeting certain laws of the profession. For instance, in South Africa, we know there's a popular media entrepreneur in Nigeria. He went to South Africa, he couldn't cope because the way he runs his enterprises in Nigeria, which rubbishes the practitioners in his organization, he couldn't do that in South Africa, and he had to pack up and come back. I mean, they sent him packing. It was me. They sent him packing because he had to follow the laws of the Union of Journalists in South Africa would not accept it.
Now, Ben, just as we are wrapping up, what will be your parting words?
Yeah, I think that, yes, I think that in terms of the welfare of the journalist, it's key. We need training at home and abroad. Apart from that, access to information. I tell you, I work for some foreign agencies now. By the time you call in, you are from so in Nigeria. There's this, how do I call it? In Nigeria, they tend to look at, they give more respect to something foreign, just like our consumption pattern. And you, in Nigeria, they begin to tell you, right. Apart from that, look, the journalist too will have to know something about something. Yes, you should know something about something. To a certain extent, be knowledgeable. And again, in terms of, we shouldn't be an all-comer affair. You read biology, okay, I'm a journalist. You read economy, okay, I'm a journalist. But look at the legal profession, right. Not just the LLB, you have to be called to bar.
Yes.
You know, if you're an engineer, you have to go to COREN, Council of Registered Engineers of Nigeria, you know. And that's why I think the Nigerian Institute of Public Relations is doing a nice job. Come register before you become a spokesperson for a ministry or government.
Thank you very much. This is where we wrap it up on today's episode of Nigeria Today. A very big thank you to Eman Usman Shehu. He's the Director, International Institute of Journalism. Thank you so much
for
coming and sharing your perspective with us. And also we had Ben Shemang, he's a former director, News, Voice of Nigeria. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.
And thank you for being part of the program. I am Ikaria Clinton. Goodbye.